Hello and welcome everybody to the Corona Recession Survival Series. I'm Dr. Stephanie Aldrich and I welcome you today to this webinar where we're going to go over some tips and tools that any small business owner or even anybody in sales or dealing with the public for your income, for your livelihood, some tips and tools that will help get all of us through this coming recession, and also us opening up the doors to the public. How we can build value to the public, how we can get our products and services out there to the public and create interest so that we ourselves have income coming in and can pay our employees, etc., etc. So without further ado, let me share my screen with you guys and we'll get on with the presentation. So again, welcome to the Corona Recession Survival Series. This is part 2. If you haven't seen part 1, please go and look for the link to part 1 because it really is going to go in sequential order. We do have 3 series. So this is the middle guy. And what we're talking about today is how to limp for the first 90 days. We're not going to be quite sure how the economy is going to turn out. I'm making this in the middle of April. I'm not sure how this is all going to turn out. We will all find out together. But there are some things that we can prepare for now and during the first 90 days that can potentially help us through the economy machine starting to get forward. Let me get this moving here. So who am I? Well, I've been a general dentist since 2000. I've owned, actually 99 I graduated, but I've owned my own business since March of 2000. So how did I celebrate my 20-year anniversary? March 20th, 2020 by having my doors closed. So, I've been through the 2008 crash, the 2000 crash. I was just starting when, the tech bubble went on, and kind of all throughout the cycles. And I know that this cycle is a little bit different than other ones, but they're all a little bit different. But the main point is you have, scarcity, you have, overall people are losing their jobs, but what is it in our community? Is our community going to thrive and work together and help each other out? Or are we going to play victim and, blame other people, blame the government and, things that are out of our control? Or can we control what we have here? I also run a media company. We do digital products and also business coaching. So since 2006. So, I kind of know a little bit about business. I've taught myself from all of the leading industry gurus over the years, have been mentored, have been coached, have spent a lot of money, time, and effort myself into learning how to be a business person, and then have helped other people do the same thing. So, why should you listen to me? Because I've been there, done that. And even though, yeah, I'm nervous about this whole thing too, but I know logically that I need to prepare myself. I need to make sure that my employees are ready to go, that my practice is ready to go, and that I am helping other people, because that's what I love to do, is network with other people and try different things and see what works. And so, why should you listen to me is because, who else are you listening to? Are you listening to the mass media who just want to scare you? Or are you going to listen to somebody that's going to help you get through this with practical tips and tools that anybody can use and that you can start implementing right now today? Okay. So the biggest part of this whole thing is fear. We're not sure how people are going to react or, how they're going to respond when we are allowed to reopen in the next couple of weeks, hopefully, right? We don't know. Our governor might decide, hey, we're going to need another couple of weeks or another month or whatever it is. However, it's going to go on is, we're all fearful for. And what is fear? It's the false evidence appearing real, okay? We are trying to predict how things are going to reopen. What I'm hoping is that it's going to be a flood of people wanting my services and products, but in reality, it's probably going to be a mixture of people are going to be a little hesitant, and that's where we come into play in building certainty, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But how can we, make our customers feel comfortable dealing with us? How do we make as business owners, how do we make our employees feel comfortable, not worrying about getting sick or, not having a job, right? Because if you're not selling your products or services, nobody can make any money, okay? So the purpose of this webinar is to develop strategies on how to limp along for the first 90 days, whenever that is, whenever that starts, when the economy opens up. At the end, we'll open things up to Q&A. Right now, this particular webinar is, just myself. And so any Q&A that comes, will be questions that I'm answering from previous webinars, okay? The focus areas are how to limp for the next 90 days, okay? Or the first 90 days that we get into business. The importance of zero, we'll go over that little terminology that I have found very useful. Where to find money, how to provide certainty to your customer, and that's going to be one of the biggest highlights of today's focus is how to provide certainty to your customer. Remember, we just talked about fear. It's the false evidence appearing real. We need to make sure that they're comfortable doing business with us, and also our employees too, very important. The conversions of liabilities to assets. In part one, we talked about what are some fixed and variable costs, what are your liabilities, what are your assets? Well, in certain circumstances, we can switch some liabilities into assets, and we'll kind of give some ideas to you on that here in a little bit. What about the priority list? We talked about that in series 1, 2. Does it make you money? Okay. Really, this whole webinar series is about financial wherewithal. Who has the money? How can you get it? And how can you as a business owner protect what you have so that you can keep your doors open? Okay. We do live on an economic planet, and in order for us to pay our employees, to pay our bills, to buy supplies, to transact and to trade with people, you need to have paper money. And, people say that, you don't need money to be happy. But in reality, for you to survive, you need to buy food, you need shelter, you need electricity. Nowadays you need the internet, right? Which seems kind of frivolous, but it really has been a communication savior in this whole crisis and shut-in. Does your priority list make you money? How to economize resources. And last time we talked about what the resources was, your time, your energy, and your money, right? What about productive versus non-productive activities? We also talked about that. What activities are tied to you making some money? Tied to saving you time so you can make more money. Also, how to ensure your customers pay you. They're going to pay somebody. We need to help them decide that we are worth paying right now, especially if they've lost their jobs, especially if they've taken a pay cut, or if they aren't looking to make their big commissions that they usually do, or their monthly or quarterly bonuses, they too are suffering. But obviously people need certain businesses. You know, I know for myself, people are going to need their teeth done. They're going to be in pain. Things are going to break and or have broken in the past month. And so they're going to need things fixed. And we need to depend on insurance companies to actually pay us the money that they owe us, but we also need to have the customer pay us too, so that we can keep our doors open and keep paying for, move this down a little bit. So the first topic we're going to get into is how to limp for the next 90 days. Have any of us, you know, thought of different ways that, you know, we're going to do maybe a little differently, maybe systems that we're going to run a little differently, maybe the way you, you know, go about your daily business. Maybe you're going to be doing more teleconferencing. For us, we're going to eliminate the waiting room for a little bit of time and do what we did before, which was have them, you know, come to the office, call us when they're here, and we will walk them into the chair and do treatment on them. So, you know, how are you going to limp for the first 90 days that we're in business? So you need to have revenue goals. You know, will this year be different from last year? More than likely it will be. More than likely it will be down. However, that doesn't mean that, you know, you can just discredit this whole year as a loss. I mean, we're only in the first quarter. You know, depending on what your business cycle is, let's say that, you know, you're a landscaper, you know, you do most of your bulk business in the summer or even fall, you know, how is that going to play into your revenue goals? It may not change at all because you're not going to be in contact with a lot of people anyway, and everybody needs their grass mowed. However, if people are losing their jobs, our economy is not opening up, people won't pay for your service and they will cancel their contracts with you, right? So you got to think about, you know, you got to be in contact with those people to say, hey, where are we? Are we going to do month to month because you're not sure about your job? Can I get you into a lot contract for 3 months, or, you know, whatever it is? You really got to start thinking about, you know, what revenue are you going to have in the next, you know, 90 days, 60 days, 6 months to a year. Okay. I know for me, my busy time is end of the year because everybody wants to get their insurance used up, and any big procedures they kind of want to do end of the year and then beginning of the following year when their insurance renews. So for me, I really am going to still hit my revenue target from last year. I really think that we can do it because we're going to be backed up. There, let me stop that. We're going to be backed up for 6 weeks or 8 weeks or however long this whole thing will be shut down. So I really think that, you know, in our business, it might be a little slow at first, but I really think the machine's going to get cranking. So my goal is to do what we did last year, and if not, surpass it. Okay. What about your time? You will need to contact new customers. You got to attract new customers. Livelihood of any business is, you know, some people move away. Some people, you know, lose their benefits. Some people, you know, can't afford your services or they don't want them anymore. What problems can your product or service solve? You need to attract the problem seekers, the seekers of solutions. So you do need to spend some time, which is part of your resources, on how you are going to attract new customers. And an easy way to do that is convenience. I had slowed down the practice hours to 3 days a week. I kind of concentrated the time that I worked, knowing that I'm getting older and that, you know, I wanted to stay healthy, not have back issues and hand issues and everything that goes along with dentistry. But what I found is, you know, moving forward, I really have to be more convenient to people. So we're going to extend our hours a little bit so that we're open, you know, during the week a little bit more so that people can find the time that's more convenient for them to come in and get service done. Okay. What are you doing that's going to be different from last year or different from whatever? Are you going to do anything different with your time? Are you going to help your customer be able to come in and see you or do business with you? What about vendors? Can you get the supplies that you need? I know right now, after this webinar, my job is to locate and secure some PPE. I've already started doing that, but it's really difficult for second-degree healthcare workers to find the supplies that we're going to need to protect ourselves from, you know, potential problems, right? None of my employees are going to want to come back to work unless I can provide them with safety. And in order to do that, my vendors have to have supplies for me to order. It's like I have some cash set aside for this kind of thing. Sorry, I have a frog in my throat today. I think it's allergies. Everything that's green. Now my eyes are, you know, digging around and I got a little phlegm today. But, you know, can I get the supplies that I need? That's really the hard part. It's like I've got the money, but I don't have any suppliers that have anything. So I'm going to be digging around the internet today. Make the internet your friend. You know, can you get your supplies? Are there a shortage of it? Now's the time. You have some time before we open back up. You really need to focus your attention on that. What about the government stimulus money? You know, PPP loans. I know I just got my email from my banker saying that, hey, somebody's gonna be calling you. We already got a number for you. Now we just have to get, you know, everything finalized. You know, there's other protection programs. There's, you know, people were getting checks if you earned X amount of money per year. You know, what are you going to do to get some money so that you can keep your business going and get your employees back to go? What about your savings? You have business savings and you also have personal savings. How long will it last to keep your doors open? You really have to focus your attention on that. We're all going to be putting in more time and effort and probably not making as much money. But you know what? You got to do what you got to do, right? You want to be a business owner. It all comes down to you and I, right? How are we going to take care of our employees? How are we going to keep our doors open? Take care of our customers, right? That's why we're here. We want to help people. We want to sell our you know, products and services because we know that they provide solutions to people. What are the people's problems? We need to solve them, and that's what we're here to do. Be diligent on collecting money. Maybe you need to make different financial arrangements than previously done. Maybe you need to define your terms a little bit differently. You know, maybe get third-party companies involved for financing arrangements. You don't have to necessarily do it all yourself, but what types of companies are out there to help you as a, you know, as a person in business? What about your follow-up? Definitely going to have to take time out. What we're going to do is, if you're not directly with a patient, the phone's going to be coming out of your ear. You're going to be calling past due clients, people that need work done, people that haven't been in for a while, to try to get them in so that we can keep the machine rolling. Past customers, current customers, and obviously you always want new business, right? The main purpose of all of this, especially in the first part of the reopening process, is we have to transact as much as possible. We have to get the machine going. And in order to do that, you have to constantly be in you know, talks with people. You have to contact past people, present people, who's got your money, you know, insurance companies, vendors, suppliers, you know, whatever. whoever it is, you have to be constantly in contact with everybody and try to transact, get that machine going, get commerce going so that we can all make it past 90 days, because some of us won't. There's going to be a lot of smaller businesses that go under because of this, because they just can't get the machine going, okay? The next section we're going to talk about is the importance of zero, okay? And some people can say this is more of a scarcity issue, but I really think at this point in time, as a business owner, we must be conservative, okay? We need to make money, okay? We need to make it, save it, use it, and cut it, okay? And that's where zero comes into play. We shouldn't be, buying extra things right now. If you do have supplies that you need so that you can service your customer or products, I wouldn't, unless you're getting an awfully good deal on something, I wouldn't have any excess, okay? If you do have excess, then, you need to get rid of that. That is a liability right now. Remember, we talked about that earlier. Liabilities turning into assets. You need to get rid of all that product. Okay, so you shouldn't have a lot of inventory. So, make sure that you're not going bug nuts on, because everybody's going to throw a sale at you and you're going to say, oh, that's such a good deal. I paid this much for it before. However, if you're going to be able to get rid of that inventory, sell that supply, that product, that's, you have a service that uses that supply, then go for it. But if you're going to be sitting on it, it's going to be collecting dust. You need to use your money in a different purpose, right? You got to be doing marketing. You got to pay your staff to be, going out into the field and selling and, getting yourself known and marketing themselves, right? And talking to past customers, doing follow-up, that kind of thing. So you need to make it. You have to transact with people. You need to get the machine rolling. What service or product are you trying to get out into the marketplace? What problems are you solving? Maybe you thought you were solving this problem, but in reality, you can actually solve this problem. Sometimes the economy will change things. What are you selling? You also need to save it, okay? That's where the conservation comes into play. You need to build up reserves for the next time, because we don't know if we're going to be shut down in another 90 days because, summer goes, everything's going back to normal. And then all of a sudden fall comes and we have outbreaks again and they shut us down again. What are you going to do next time? Will there be stimulus money? Will there be, what are we going to do as business owners to try our best to conserve and put in reserve resources that we'll need? We'll need supplies. We'll need PPE, we'll need we'll need, products and things that we can keep going forward. We're going to need people that are interested in our products. So we're going to need to do more marketing so people know about that. We need to do whatever it is that we have to put things in reserve, because at some point it's going to happen again. We don't know what's going to happen. We had a housing crisis. We had the tech bubble. We had, 1999 with, none of the software went to 2000. We had the housing crisis. Like, there's going to be something. Now we're into the corona shutdown with the respiratory virus. What is going to be next? Who knows? But we, as business owners, we have to be ready for it, okay? And that's where we need to save it. We need to be conservative moving forward. Maybe you're just starting out and you don't have any money anyway. Well, guess what? Conserve what you do have. Maybe you've been in business for a while like myself. You're a veteran. You should already have some in reserves, but sometimes you're going to blow through that, right? I know I'm blowing through mine. Well, guess what? Now I'm definitely in a conservation mode and I got to rebuild. Maybe you're closer to retirement. Maybe you have a health scare and you're like, oh man, this is a horrible time for this. I need to get myself back to go, right? In order to do that, you got to really focus your resources, your attention, and your time on transacting money and also reserving it and conserving it. What about use it? So obviously you got to pay bills, but do you have any smaller loans, maybe on equipment or supplies, or, you know, however your terms are with customers? Is there a way for you to get rid of that debt? I've got a couple of business loans that, depending on how the economy works out in the next 90 days to 180 days, my plan is to pay those off early. Now, of course, that just depends. Am I making money? If we are making money, then I am going to use any extra, well, part of the extra, I should say, because obviously you need to be a little bit liquid in your cash flow, but I'm going to use some of that to try to pay that debt off earlier, because then I don't have the obligation. I don't have that liability to somebody else in case something shuts down in the fall or the winter, right? What about cutting? Is there any way to, you know, cut the extra expenses? Your variable costs that we went over in series 1, right? Extra supplies and inventory, anything extra. Anything extra. You were looking to purchase some new equipment. Well, maybe for now you can limp along with the old equipment, right? The old supply line, the old instruments, right? That's something that you really need to think about. Anything extra, even extra people. And unfortunately, you know, as a business owner, you're going to have to make a decision on, do you need to keep everybody, or do you need to sacrifice a few people so that, you know, you're a lean, mean fighting machine? That's something that you're going to have to think about. The biggest obstacle moving forward for you as a business owner is certainty. We have to make sure that people feel certain that they're taken care of, that they're not exposing their health because they're transacting with you. For me, I can't do teledentistry, okay? I can't have somebody take a picture of their mouth, send it to me, and I tell them to take a pill and everything's okay. I have to physically get in there and fix things. It's a one-on-one physical activity, okay? For me, I need to make sure that my patients know that we're going to be all garbed up in hazmat suits, basically, right? I don't know how many of you guys are, you know, in that type of field, but, you know, some of us, we just got to get down in the trenches. But how are we going to feel safe doing it? And I have to make my employees feel safe. I have to feel safe. And I have to make our patients feel safe. So how are we going to do that? You got to make a plan for that. If you're an insurance person, maybe you're just going to do teleconferences with people and once in a while meet with people, but you can have documents signed, you know, online or through, you know, DocuSign, or send them paperwork. It's called the mail service, right? You know, there's a lot of businesses that can still transact. I know my digital product services and my coaching business, I can do everything on Zoom. I can do everything online. I mean, people are already buying, you know, products of mine online since I, you know, revamped my website just over in the last couple weeks, right? So that part of the business is fine. But I also have another business that I have to physically get in there and interact with somebody one-on-one. And I have to create certainty that everybody's safe health-wise, and that my staff and myself are safe too. Because if we're sick, then we can't transact with anybody, and we can't help anybody. So it all comes down with, how do we move forward to make sure that we create certainty? And that's going to be the biggest obstacle. And if you're not avertently telling people what you're doing to create that certainty, feel safe with us, this is what we're doing, these are the measures that we're taking. You know, we're not going to be doing the waiting room. People don't want to be, you know, sitting there with other people that could potentially make them sick. Well, truthfully, I think that's probably a good idea moving forward. I don't know if I'll ever have a waiting room again, because that's always a petri dish. All the kids and their snotty noses and they're touching everything. And the adults that are coming in and, you know, they're coughing and, you know, maybe they're not feeling that well, or they're talking on their phone and, you know, they're just touching everything. Well, there's only so much disinfecting that we can do, right? So that might be a good thing moving forward, that maybe I don't have a waiting room. That waiting room's more of a extra space that maybe I'll use as something else. So how can you create certainty in your business so that you can safely transact with customers? So our job moving forward will be to provide that certainty, and you got to let people know these are the measures that we're taking. You need to email your customers. You need to, you know, advertise, market that this is what we're going to do. Okay, so that everybody feels safe and that you can get the economy machine moving forward. Okay, not only with customers, but we also have to make sure our employees feel comfortable too. Okay, so make sure that you're feeling safe. What I'm doing later this week is I'm going to have a Zoom call with my employees, telling them what's going on, you know, all the plans moving forward, so everybody's on board and they know that they're being taken care of. So when it's time to move, we're ready to rock and roll and everybody feels comfortable. Because if not, you're going to know that there's uncertainty there, and you know, there's going to be hesitation, and you can't work as a team if everybody's not on the same page. Okay, so let me move this a little bit here. So certainty, do they feel safe in your business? Maybe you have to provide gloves and masks and all the PPE, hand sanitizer, which I know is really hard to come by, but you're gonna have to dig around and troll on the internet and see what you can find, okay? Maybe get rid of the waiting rooms right now like we are. Will you continue with video conferencing? One of my friends is in the financial services business, and she said that truthfully, she's probably not gonna ever see another client face to face, that she really doesn't have to, once in a while, not every day, not several times a day, that she can do most of her business through DocuSign, through the mail, and online. So moving forward, she knows that when it is flu season or, you know, whatever, that, you know, she won't be exposing herself to anything or her customers as a carrier. Do they feel like they're being taken care of? You know, people are going to be desperate to have things done. And when there's desperation out there, sometimes they can also be vulnerable. So when you are, you know, starting the wheel, the machine back up, you really have to be calm about it and don't get too excited when people do want to transact with you. They're looking for reassurance. They're looking for the trust that they've had in you to continue. So definitely don't do anything that will upset that trust moving forward. You want to make sure that you're taking care of them and that you don't exploit any vulnerabilities that they have. Do they have an immediate concern? You want to make sure that, let's say it's a new customer and they have, you know, a few issues that they need resolved. Make sure you know whatever the immediate problem is, that is the problem that's first on your list, okay? Because they're more vulnerable, they may see that there's a whole bunch of things on their list and they may not know which one to tackle first, but you're the expert in your industry, in your field. Make sure that you prioritize their problems and kind of chunk out the bigger ones first so that you know that the bigger one won't get bigger over time, and then you can take care of the little stuff. right? So make sure if they do have an immediate concern or just a bunch of concerns, that you as the expert can find and kind of categorize things for them. Okay, I really think this is your biggest problem. This is going to cost you the most time, money, energy, effort, pain, you know, whatever it is, whatever industry you're in. This can actually be the worst thing that can happen. So let's tackle this one first, okay? You be the beacon of certainty. You're the one that's the expert and that they're trusting to solve the problem. So solve the problem, but do the biggest one first, okay? Or the one that's most immediate that needs to be taken care of now. Will you help them solve their problems? Of course. That's why they're coming to you. Whether they're a new customer, you really got to pour it on that we care about you. Not that you're pouring it on, but that, you know, you are sincere about this, that even though you're going to be bombarded with things, that you're taking the time to be sincere with people and to take care of their issue, okay? If they feel certainty with you, if they trust you, no matter what the economy is going to go in the future, you're going to find that they're going to be loyal to you. Are you listening to them? We're all going to get bombarded at some point, okay? The economy machine is going to open up. We don't know when that's going to be, but at some point, we're going to start getting tired, okay? We've been rested for the past month. It'll be 6 weeks to 8 weeks by the time we get things moving again. We have to make sure we're listening to people because they buy on emotion, but they pay on logic. So, you know, they want to make sure that you're listening to them about their concerns and see if you can translate that into logical, like, solutions that your product or service can provide for them. Do you care to help them? You're going to find, especially when people are desperate, that sometimes the certain situation is going to be kind of out of your realm of expertise. For instance, let me give you an example. So somebody comes in and they've got a blown out tooth. Well, I don't do a lot of oral surgery. So if they're, you know, in a certain category of medical conditions where they have a ton of, you know, they're on a ton of medications, you know, oh gosh, this tooth just looks like it's going to be hard to go, you know, to come out, but they're begging me to do it. And even though I need money, right, I'm still going to be sending them and referring them to a specialist who A, knows what they're doing. Not that I don't know what I'm doing, but A, has the expertise and the skill set. Okay, so even though you and I as small business owners, we want to get some money, we want to, you know, transact with people, provide solutions and get our economies going, we still have to be very, very diligent about providing the right care, providing the right service, the right solutions to our customers or new customers. Don't get into this thing. I know when I was younger and first starting out, like, I would try everything, right? Do all kinds of complex situations. And they were complex for a reason. And now that I've been doing this for 20 years, I don't plan on changing anything that I'm doing. I know what I'm good at. I know I'm fast at. I know what kind of care with the certain type of procedures that I do. Those are the only ones that I'm going to be providing to my client base. So you're caring for them because you know what your expertise is and your skill set. If they need something else, that's where you draw on your network of referral people, of people in your industry that might specialize in a certain area, and then you can take care of them by referring them to somebody that has the knowledge and the skill set to really take care of them. And they will so appreciate that you are taking care of them by saying, hey, this is what you need done. However, this is not what I do. I do this. You need that. this person over here does that. And you're taking care of them by referring them to the proper people, okay? Let me move this guy a little bit. Sorry, he's just been in the way today. So you've got your conversions of liabilities to assets, and everybody knows what a liability versus an asset is. Liability means that, you know, you owe somebody something. An asset is somebody owes you something. You're getting money this way. A liability is you're giving money there. So you've got your accounts receivables. Now, that really is a liability, because even though somebody owes you, it's kind of an asset, it's just sitting there, right? It needs to be collected. So until it's collected, the accounts receivables actually is a liability, because it's sitting out there. It's owed money, and it's just sitting there collecting dust saying, hey, what about me? Okay, so some of the resources moving forward is you really got to tackle that accounts receivables. We deal with insurance companies as well as patients. Usually they pay, you know, part, whatever. And so we've been diligent about following up with people, giving them financial arrangements, but also hammering these insurance companies, because we want to turn those accounts receivables into money, into assets for our company of previous work that's been done. So that kind of gives us money to keep going, to buy more supplies, to pay employees, even though we do have the PPP loan coming in, but still, I've got to pay myself. You know, what the government's giving me is not going to cover my stuff. So I have to have money to cover my stuff, but also pay the rent and the utilities and anything moving forward, okay, that maybe the PPP doesn't cover, okay? And the PPP loan is only going to last for so long, right? We need to build our reserves now. So we have to really make sure that any contracts, terms, anything that is considered an asset, but right now is a liability because it's not doing anything for us, we need to work on that from employees and the owners. We've got to turn those sitting there money just waiting to be collected, we got to turn those into assets. So we got to really hammer that. Non-active customers, that can be considered a liability because it's not being used, but they did transact with you before. So why not follow up with them and reactivate them? You know, lend the olive branch. Hey, is there any way that, you know, I can help you with anything? Do you have any issues? Maybe you lost your insurance and can't get in with, you know, your doctor or dentist or whatever. Can we help you? You know, maybe lend them an olive branch and say, hey, you've been here before. Is there anything that I can do to help? Okay. If people know that, hey, they called me and they were really concerned about me, you know, wow, that was really cool. And yeah, they can't solve an issue, but I didn't even know that they even knew I was still alive, right? Extend the olive branch. What about instruments, old equipment that's been sitting in, you know, that you're not using anymore? I know I had bought an implant motor, so I was doing implants for a little bit, and then it just got to the point where I had to have so much inventory of the implant parts, and they would never take back the parts that I didn't use, that I really was breaking even. And I'm like, I'm not doing all this. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of planning and healing and all this stuff, and I'm not making any money. I'm like, this just doesn't make sense. I'm a business person, right? This just doesn't make sense. So I stopped doing those and just referred them to people that, you know, do mass quantity of those. And I was like, okay, I've got this motor that's almost brand new. It really wasn't used very much. And I'm like, let's get rid of it. And I ended up making a couple grand from it, right? The surgeon was happy because they got a almost brand new motor that was definitely less than off the market. And I turned that liability that was just sitting there collecting dust into an asset. What do you guys have? Do you have inventory that you need to move? Well, you better get your salespeople on it and you got to move that inventory, okay? Or used equipment or you know, old instruments, whatever it is. What can you do to get rid of it? Can you sell it? Can you liquidate it? What about leads? Okay, the leads, again, they really are assets, but they're just sitting there. Nobody's following up with them. So in essence, they turn into a liability because they're not doing anything for you. They're not bringing in clients or problems to solve for your business. So, you know, how are you going to follow up with them? Every single employee, if they're not directly contacting a person, should be trying to follow up with a lead. Obviously, it's a lead. Somebody was interested enough to either click on your website, to call you for a question, or maybe they transacted with you a little bit, and then that was it. What are you going to do with that? Now's the time to convert them to a paying customer, to a client, to a patient. You know, now's the time. If it's a lead, that means that, you know, they actually contacted you. So what are you going to do moving forward to, you know, make it turn into an asset? What about new products and skills? You know, now's the time. If maybe you learned a new skill, or we're going to introduce a new product, or maybe just introduced a new product first of the year, and it really does fill the gap, a need in the market. Now's the time to double down on that skill or that product and really get it out into the marketplace. You got to get some marketing going and let people know that, hey, this is a big problem out there and we have the solution for it, okay? Because that's going to really turn that skill set or that product into an asset. It's going to bring in money into your company. And also, same thing, what about reactivating old products or skills? Maybe at some point, that certain product was kind of lost in the shuffle because everybody was doing it. But maybe it really, truly does fill a need in today's society or in the market that we're at now. Can you reactivate that skill or that product, that procedure, so that you're, you know, solving the problems that people have now? So we went over the priority list in series number 1, and we're going to go through this again, but you got to think of what is important and not important in your business. And that's where being conservative and putting things into reserve, both time, money, and energy, you really got to focus in on this priority list. So what's important? You know that you have to have a place to do business, right? Personally, you have to have a place to live. So you got to focus your attention on paying the bills, right? But what's not important? Maybe you were going to, you know, go to a new car, buy a new car, or buy some new equipment, invest in something for your business, okay? Maybe you used to do your business at the coffee shop, or, you know, you used to go out to restaurants all the time. Maybe you need to cut some of that out. Those businesses are going to be the ones that are hurting because people are, you know, being conservative with their money and they need money in reserves. You know, sorry. You know, that's something that they're going to have to, you know, get their resources together and see what they can do moving forward. But, you know, what's not important? You got to really have that priority list. What about people? People you can't afford, people that you can't afford. There's certain vendors that you might deal with, but maybe they're, you know, higher priced than other people that you can get your supplies off of, or, you know, services that they supply. Sometimes you just have to do what you have to do as a business owner. You know, maybe you don't need as much service as you thought you did. You really just need the product or for the inventory or the supply. You know, where can you get it cheaper? You gotta cut corners. You gotta be on a budget. And I know that's an awful word, right? Anybody like budgets? Yeah, no. But moving forward, it's going to be very, very important to, you know, not overspend and to keep things in reserves, because we don't know how this virus is going to reactivate or affect the future, right? Maybe key employees. Who are you going to keep? Who is essential to your business? Who brings value to the business? They don't bring value if maybe their attitude was kind of raunchy over the past year or two. Now's the time to make a decision. Do you want to have to deal with it moving forward? Sometimes you just got to cut ties. And this is a interesting time to do that. You could totally revamp your business if you were being burdened by attitudes, not working, not contributing, low value people, and open yourself up to trying to, you know, get people that do care and do value what they bring to the marketplace. So something to think about. And unfortunately, as business owners, we have to make hard decisions. And you know what? It is what it is. Because when it comes down to it, it's your and my name on the door. And if we can't have that door, we don't own it anymore, then we're working for somebody else who also has to make hard decisions. So if you want to be the business owner and reap all the benefits, you also have to, you know, make the hard decisions. And the priority list really is a hard decision. So what do you absolutely need? You need those fixed costs. And we talked about that in series 1. You know, you need to pay employees, you need supplies, you need, you know, rent, utilities, that kind of thing, okay? At marketing. Marketing is going to be a fixed cost for a while because people need to know that you exist and that you can solve whatever problem it is that you specialize in. People got to know you. And if they don't, because you shy away from marketing, you're not going to survive, because the people with the money are going to be the ones that are going to be attracting new money because people will know them, okay? And in the next series, in series 3, webinar 3, I'm going to go over some ideas, and then we'll kind of kick it around on the live calls of ideas that we can come up with that we can implement in our own towns and cities that can also help with marketing and grassroots, you know, guerrilla marketing efforts that the small guy can do, that won't take up a lot of money resources or even time. Or maybe it will take a little bit more time, but not as much money if we're hurting. That will help us to get ourselves out there into the marketplace. What might you need? So these are all variable costs, and what don't you need? Variable costs. You got to set priorities. For us to move forward, we got to set priorities on all of these things. Got to make hard decisions, you know? Basically, does your priority list, anything that's in here, does it make you money? Does it save you time? Does it save you energy? If it doesn't, then you need to get rid of it or put it on hold for now, okay? When the economy's good, it's like shooting fish in a barrel, right? Everybody heard that saying? Shooting fish in a barrel, because there's tons of fish, right? And it's in a closed space and, you know, it's easy. But when you're in a big ocean and you're trying to find that one marlin, right? Ocean is vast. And you fishing for 2 days doesn't necessarily mean you're going to come up upon a marlin, right? You could be fishing for a long time and never find anything. Well, guess what? The economy was good, so fish in a barrel, I could do anything, and it was easy to make money. Now that people are going to be losing jobs, slowing down, uncertain, it's going to be a lot harder to land contracts, to land, you know, customers, to land, you know, big items So we really have to be diligent about how we prioritize our resources, our time, our energy, and our money, so that we can make money, so that we can sell and transact and solve people's problems. So making your priority list, I'm telling you, it's one of the most important things you and I as business owners can do. And I've already made my priority list. I've done everything here. This was all done for me first. So if you're wondering why you're listening to me, this was all me trying to help myself first. And then I thought, you know what, if it's helping me and kind of calming my fears down, because I do have a running game plan and I'm already implementing it. I've already been implementing it for the past 2 weeks. If it helps me, it's going to help anybody. We're all the same. No matter what business you're in, industry you're in, we're small business owners, okay? We all have, you know, fixed costs. We all have to deal with employees. We all have to solve problems and interact with customers. We all have the same issues generally. We're just, you know, we have to tweak things to, you know, be in our industry. So you got to make a priority list. And you have to really focus on, until you've got enough build up in reserves and the economy machine gets going again and things get back to normal, hopefully. I mean, I hope to God it gets back to normal at some point. You know, what is your priority list and does it make you money? Okay. The main focus on the priority list is economizing resources. You have time, money, and energy. So with time, you need to be productive as possible. So if you're not directly tied to a customer, you then need to do things that tie you to a customer. You need to follow up. You need to contact old customers. You need to be in business trying to get new customers. You need to be marketing. You need to be branding. You need to extend business hours so that it's more convenient for people to find you and transact with you. Maybe you need to work on the weekends some. I'm going to be doing a lot of business coaching calls, excuse me, and networking with my clients so that we can help each other. That's why I want to do this. I want to help you. I want you to help me. I want to be part of the chamber and, do some networking, because we can do this together. If we do this together, right? We have to be in contact. How can you help me? How can I help you? Okay, it's a back and forth kind of thing. Maybe you are doing phone conferences. You know, phone conferences are a lot easier, and Zoom calls takes 30 seconds to set up. You don't need a microphone. I mean, you can if you want, but your laptop is all you need with an internet connection. That's all you need. And Zoom, right? I think Zoom's 10, 15 bucks a month. I can't even remember. Who cares, right? You could totally be on a phone conference with somebody. So how are you spending your time? It needs to really be focused on follow-up, getting in contact with new people, getting in contact with current customers, and trying to solve their issues, okay? What about money? How can you economize money? You've got to be on offense right now, okay? You can't be behind the 8 ball. We've all been behind the 8 ball for the past, month, trying to, oh gosh, I can't be in business, whatever. Well, guess what? Now we're going to need to be on offense. You have to be on offense with customers and vendors. You've got to conserve. You've got to know where to cut, how to deal with people. You need to know how to get over objections, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. Handle the objections and create the certainty that vendors and customers need so that they will transact with you. But you got to know where to deal, where to cut. You need to conserve money. What about energy? Okay, make sure you and your staff members get the sleep that you need, because unfortunately in a downtime, you're gonna have to economize as much energy as possible, but you're gonna have to go full go. okay? You're going to be tired. You may not get the payoff that you did before for the amount of work that you're going to be doing. It's almost like you're starting over. We are all going to be starting over. And I know in my mid-40s, that's a little bit harder to do. I need a little bit more sleep. But my attitude is going through all of this that, you know, I started my own business 20 years ago. I bought another practice and kind of flowed that into this practice. I started a consulting business and digital product business. You know, I do what I have to do to transact with people, to solve people's problems, to take care of them. And if I have to put in more time to do that, more energy to do that, guess what? That's what I want to do, and that's what I'm willing to do. So you got to put all your energy into productive activities that are tied to transacting with people. They're tied directly with customer service, follow-up, and sales. Okay, you know, it's not the time to be watching Netflix. It's not the time to be, you know, BSing at the water cooler if you have one. No, you need to be picking up the phone. There should be no downtime. You don't even need to read emails. The only emails you need to concern yourself about are emails that are tied to a customer. How are you servicing them? And that's it. Anything else can be put on the back burner. When times are good, everybody wins. When times are bad, the only winners are the ones that work for it and that really truly help other people. Okay, so you gotta conserve your resources and put them into your priority list. The purpose of this, you need to focus your resources on activities that are directly tied to solving people's problems. You need to transact. You need to take care of people. People know that. They're certain about what you're doing. They're certain that they're safe with transacting with you. You'll come out ahead, and we'll all go through this. Some more than others. Solve problems are directly tied to money. When someone feels that they're getting the value of the solution, they will gladly part with their paper money. So you have to give them more than what you're getting. And by putting in more time and effort, trying to take care of them, that's going to show them. And right now, people want to be taken care of. They want to have certainty in their life with a certain problem. They want to get it solved. They will gladly part with that money if the problem's big enough. Okay. So here are some productive versus non-productive activities, right? You want to make sure everybody has a written contract. Okay. For me, it's a written treatment plan. Not just talking about it. You need to make sure it's written. So if they aren't the main decision maker, okay, maybe they're talking on behalf of their spouse or someone that they love. They're kind of the caregiver. You need to have everything written out so that it's not he said, oh, I can't remember what he said, or she said, or, oh gosh, I don't remember what this meant. You need everything written down. Everything's black and white. If there's an issue or a question or a concern, boom, you write it out, you solve it, and then they can move forward with you. If there's any uncertainty, they're not going to move forward with you. So make sure everything is written out and that all of the issues are in the black and white. Everything's solved. Answering questions. You would think that that's not necessarily, you know, non-productive, but it really is a productive activity that's directly could be assigned to a sale. If people know that they have a problem and you answer that question, then they're going to say, oh, okay, well, maybe that product does solve my issue. Or they were so forthcoming with that problem and that answer that I want to do business with them on something totally unrelated. So you don't know what it's going to come up with. It's about connecting with people. What about the product and service options? So people, if they're uncertain about price, because now everybody is going to be in conservation mode, you need to make sure that you give them written option plans. So maybe you sell a service that has different terms, right? You have 30, 60, 90-day terms. You sell things for, 2 years. You need to make sure that, okay, you understand their budget, you understand their concerns, you understand their needs, and then you give them their options from them so that they can make an educated decision. A lot of people decide for their customers. That's not your job, is to decide for them. Your job as a business owner is to give them solutions to their problems. And in order to solve their problems, A, you need to know what they are, but B, you need to know how they want to solve it and then give them their options. If you educate them and write everything down and handle any issues or concerns that they have along that transaction, then you're going to get to a sale, right? And they need those options. And whatever that option is, even if it's the cheaper one, guess what? That's the solution for that particular person. And don't be judgmental. Some people are judgy about stuff. I tell people all the time, I love doing $50 fillings. I do thousands of them every year because that still pays my bills. And I love doing it. They're simple solutions for people, and I do a ton of them. But I also sell more, higher end things. I don't do as many of those, right? So sometimes you do have bread and butter products that are cheaper, that are easy, quick solutions to those people. Cool. Give them all of their options. Some people might need a longer term option or more expensive option, but right now is not the time. Guess what? Do the best you can. Give them what they need now with the knowledge that they could need this in the near future, okay? Because they'll come back. If that problem does arise, they'll be back to see you. But if you handled the issue now and did the best you could now, then they'll come back to see you when the issue gets bigger. It'll always get worse. So just be there when they need you. Financial terms. Give them a way to pay you, okay? If it takes a little bit longer for them to pay you, do it. If you need a third-party source to come in, talk with companies, and see if you can help the person come to a transaction with you. What about asking clients what their problems are? What is your big concern? What do you want to do, with your eyesight? You've got a cataract starting. What is your ultimate plan? Well, I really don't want it to get any worse. Okay, well then maybe we need to get the surgery done sooner than later, because it is a lot harder when the cataracts are thicker. And of course, I'm not a, ophthalmologist or whatever, so I'm not, I'm just talking here. But sometimes it's better to do it now than later. Sometimes the problem isn't as big, and they can wait until later when things get better. Maybe their health gets better. Maybe the economy gets better. You got to really ask what their problems are, but also how do they want to fix it? What's in the best interest for them? What about following up on current and past customers? That is a humongous productive activity that a lot of us as small business owners don't have the resources to do. Well, guess what? This needs to be on your priority list. You need to find creative ways, and we're going to talk about some of those next time, creative ways to follow up with people that won't cost a lot of money, but will take up time and resources from your employees. And if the economy does open up and we're not as busy as what we are, guess what? That's the activity you need to be focused on, because that is directly related to a sale or a future sale or a possible sale. Following up on current and past customers. They've already bought from you. There's a high likely chance that they're going to buy from you again. They know you, trust you, love you. Maybe it wasn't the right time and that's why they're a past customer. Maybe they didn't need your product or service, but now they do. You already have the foot in the door. Contact them. Get your employees involved. Every single person should be on that phone, whether they ever picked up a phone before or not. They should be on the phone moving forward. Should be contacting people. And what about marketing? Marketing is going to be one of the biggest, and branding. Marketing and branding are, you know, kind of put into the whole same thing, even though they are a little bit different. But we need to definitely focus on, you know, marketing and branding. How do we get our name out there? How do we let people know what problems we solve? Okay. How to ensure your customers pay you. So people are losing their jobs. People are not going to be getting the commissions and bonuses that they are normally been paid in the past, because we don't know what the economy is going to be like. How do we ensure that our customers pay us? Okay. One is you got to set up terms and payment plans. Whatever your financial arrangements were before, you may need a third party to help you with this, because obviously you don't want to be, as a small business owner, taking on all of this debt, because we aren't banks. So, you know, definitely look into, you know, third parties, banks and that, financing companies that can help you, but set up payment plans. Let your staff know that deal with that we're going to implement some payment plans so that you can ensure that you're getting paid something, right? What about sales or deals? Buy two, get one free kind of thing, right? Maybe you could have a sale on inventory that you have. You know, glasses, or, you know, for me, I can do free whitening with blank, you know, with a purchase, right? You know, whitening's easy. Everybody wants it. They always want to touch up. It doesn't take a lot of effort and time with us. You know, we're going to be doing marketing that way. Give longer terms. Pay up front for 12 months, get 3 months free. You want to try to pull things forward if you can, just to keep the machine rolling. What about discounts for cash payments? You know, anything to get money in the door. Give discounts for paying all terms. So maybe they have a 60-day contract for you. Maybe you can give them a discount and contact that customer and say, hey, if you pay the full 60 days today, or 12 months, or whatever it is, I will give you X amount off. The people that have the money and see the value of saving money will gladly pay you. If they don't have money, no matter how much discounts you give them, it's not going to matter. Payment plan will help, but discounts won't necessarily bring the money to you. But there are people that are making money out there. There are people that have money, that have saved and reserved, and that are transacting with people. You got to find those people, okay? And unless you're contacting people, you don't know. You don't know who they are. Contact everybody. Talk to everybody. Past people, current people. What about combining services and products? If you know, buy my product, you get a warranty for so long, okay? Or service, we will service that product. You know, you buy a copy machine, and instead of getting service for the first 2 months for free, you give them service for 6 months, you know? As long as you put a value to that 6 months in with the deal, they're going to think that they're getting more value for, you know, bang for their buck. They need to see the value of your products and services. So make sure that you are tying urgency, pain, with the value of your products. So in other words, if you don't do this, you have this problem. If you don't do it, it's going to end up being this. So that's painful. That's, you know, not what that person wants. If, you know, we can do payments for you so that you can get it done now. That creates urgency with them, and it alleviates the pain, it solves the problem, and it won't get any worse, right? So the last one is create urgency. If you don't do it, this is what's going to happen. Okay, well then how are you going to help me? Well, we've got payment plans, we're doing a sale, we're going to give you a service, you know, whatever it is. Create the urgency, and then you got to back it up with all of these other things in this. Okay, so the bad news in all of this is it's going to be difficult. I'm sorry, it's not going to be easy. Everybody's going to be desperate to transact with other people. So people are going to have their hand in your pocket trying to get some of your money, right? The good news, though, is that it will be difficult, and it's going to weed out people. It's going to weed out the weak. If they're not marketing and following up with customers and transacting with people and getting certainty into the marketplace with their employees, with their customers, they're not going to do any business, right? So the great news is all of this is that our systems that we have, we're going to be tweaking them. The deals that we have, we're going to be tweaking them. The procedures that we do, we're going to be tweaking them so that moving forward will be better. So that when the economy is booming in the next, you know, decade, that we are so far ahead because we implemented all those changes now when it was tight and it was harder to do business. So when it's easier to do business, we're going to be so far ahead because we're going to know what to do. We're going to eliminate waste, and we're going to put all of our resources into our business. So, you know, different ways to ensure that your customers pay you. You have to make sure that that customer is the decision maker. If it's the wife that comes in for the product, but it's the husband that pays for it, you got to be in touch with the husband. Hey, your wife needs this. That's where the written plan comes into place, right? The written contract. If you need to give that person a call, or they need to come in to see you along with the wife, that's what you got to do. You got to spend a little extra time answering questions, providing certainty, you know, solving the problem and creating urgency. And both people are there. The person that needs it and the person that actually pays for it. They both have to be there or in on the conversation. You will transact. Do they have the money? You need to make sure that that written contract, you already have asked that question. What do you want to do? What is your plan? How do you want to solve it? I can do this, this, and this. What would you like to do? And then write it up. Here's what it is. Let's do it, right? Because you know that they will have the money. If they don't have the money, they're not going to pay you. If they do have the money and you've set up arrangements with them or terms or whatever it is, then they will pay you because you're providing a service for them. You are solving that problem for them, and they want to do business with you. Are they sold on your product or service? If they don't think it's for them, they're not going to pay you. They're not going to transact with you. So you need to make sure that everything's written out, that you know what they want to do, you've given them options, and it's their decision. You always want to put it as their decision. Do they trust you? You've answered the questions. You've been very forward into, hey, whatever it is you need, I'm there for you. Here's your options. Here's, you've told me you wanted to do it this way. Let's just do it. If they can trust you, you've given them certainty that you can take care of the problem, that they're, not going to get sick while transacting with you, then they will do business with you and they'll pay you. Do they have confidence in your product or service? Do they think it's going to work for them, basically? If they think it's going to work for them, they will use your product or service. And that's where you got to talk to them. You got to make sure that everybody's on the same wavelength, and that if they do have any other concerns that they're just not talking about, that you're kind of have dug in and probed and said, hey, what other concerns do you have? Do you have any other questions? Is there anything that's bothering you on any of this? That is the time to answer, okay? Because if they're sure and they're certain, then they'll transact with you and they'll pay you. Make sure that they have a written offer. So if they do have someone else that they have to consult, or they got to go back home and look at their budget, do I have the extra money for this? If it's written, okay, it solves this problem, this problem, this problem. I know what it is. I know what the terms are. Here we go. So let's talk a little bit about objections that you're going to hear, okay? I don't care if you're in the healthcare business. I don't care if you sell insurance or you have some type of product that you're going to be selling. You're always going to hear these 4 types of objections. You're going to have price, time, a stall, meaning, oh, I want to do it later, or a product objection. You need to find out what these objections are that that particular customer is telling you, and you need to know how to handle it. So price, too much. Oh, I don't have insurance. I don't have any money coming in, so I'm broke. Time objection is, I want to wait because I'm not sure about the economy. It's not the right time. I don't know if I really need that product yet. Stall is just, I'm not sure. They're not sure. They're not certain that it's going to solve their problem. Product, I'm not sure I need all that. Just might be the wrong product. Remember, we just talked about showing them options. So you got to know how to weave your way around these objections so that you can provide certainty. And we kind of talked about that before, you know, written offers. Are they sold on that particular product? Did you give them options? Are they a decision maker? What is their budget? If you can get to all of this, then you can get to all of the types of objections and get through them, okay? If they're worried about prices, they just don't see the value of this product or service. They don't think it's going to solve their problem. With time, it might not be the right time right now. Your job is to create urgency. If you don't do it now, this is what's going to happen. Handle the why and provide the solution. If it's a stall, I'm just not quite sure about any of this. Is there something else that's concerning you? Somewhere they're not telling you something. They're worried about something and they haven't told you yet. So ask them that question. Is there someone else that needs to be in on the decision? Maybe they don't make the financial decisions. They really want to, but they're not in charge of the checkbook. The spouse is, or a caregiver is. That's where you need to then involve that other person. You need to make sure that everybody's on board. Everybody knows everything. Write it up. See what the budget is. Ask them. Talk to them. They're your customer. You need to know what's bothering them so that you can provide the solution. That's why they came to you. That's why they actually answered the phone. That's why they came in to see you. They want the answers, but sometimes they're afraid to tell you everything. They're afraid to tell you what's really bothering them. Ask them the questions. What's really bothering you? Besides price, is there anything else that you're concerned about? Let's talk about it now. If you have any questions or concerns, I'm here to answer those for you so that you feel certain moving forward. If you do that, they will kindly transact with you and pay you. What about the product? Are you even on the right product or service? Maybe they don't think that they need all that. They just want the easy solution. Okay, can their problem be solved by something cheaper in their budget? Unless you ask them, what are you looking for? You know, what's your thoughts on this whole thing? Unless you ask them that question, you're never going to know. Why do people buy? To solve their problems. It's the only reason. They have a problem and they think it's going to be solved by this particular service or product. You need to ask as the business owner, what are their problems? You don't assume that you know what their problems are. You know, what is painful to them and what can you solve? You need to make sure you kind of dig a little bit because they may not be, you know, forthcoming with everything. Maybe they're embarrassed about something. You know, they can't afford this solution, even though they know that they need this solution, but maybe they can't afford it. How are you as the business person going to come in and say, hey, we can work something out? Let's think here. What do you really need? Okay, you need this. This is the price for this. I can't get rid of this part. But these other things are kind of add-on things. We don't really need those, at least right now. You can always pick these up at a later date. And then the person's like, oh, yes, let's do it. But unless you ask them that, unless you really walk them through things, it is going to take more effort. It is going to take more time. But guess what? That's all you have right now. You have time and you have energy. For you to transact with somebody, you're going to have to use those resources for that purpose. So the purpose of all of this is you need money coming into the business. And I hope today's webinar has helped you kind of open up your thinking a little bit into areas where you can get money coming into the business. Because without money, you're not going to be in business. You're going to be another statistic coming out of this recession, this man-made, evolutionary recession that has come up from the coronavirus. We need money coming into the business. So we need to be thinking about that. Remember from last time, contraction will discipline the undisciplined. We've got to be disciplined in this. Whatever crazy habits that you've had, you're lazy, you never follow up, you hate talking on the phone, whatever it is, you hate being on a budget, you don't like doing the bookkeeping, whatever it is, you need now to be disciplined in this stuff. You need to get on it. You need to have your priority list ready to go. You need to have your employees ready to go. And, you need to make sure everybody is on board. And if they're not, get rid of them. If you're not on board, you're not going to survive. You might as well just close up your doors now. Go find a job somewhere. You got to be disciplined in all of this, and you got to be able to do whatever it takes for you to move forward and to thrive. You can start thriving now when the economy starts booming again, and it will. I just don't know when. You'll be so far ahead of the game, you're going to be like, I'm so glad I did what I did back then. So habits are key. What habits are good for you? We talked about this last time. What habits are good for you moving forward? Following up, getting enough sleep, creating certainty for your customers and your employees. What habits are terrible for you? Squandering money, having too many employees, too much supply, too much inventory, having too many liabilities, or things that should be assets lying around and not becoming assets for you. What habits do you need to be changed, right? Now's the time to do it. And who can help you? Mentor, business coach, gurus online, this webinar, these series of webinars, it's meant to help you, to give you idea. Your local chamber, other business owners, other friends of yours that own businesses, who can help you? We can all do it together. We got to just put our noggins together and go for it. So the to-do list before the next meeting, okay? The next meeting we're going to focus on, from this meeting, our focus areas were on how to limp for the next 90 days, the importance of going to zero, not spending things. So you're basically making yourself a budget. And remember last time, I gave you guys financial reports, financial statement, and also a budget. Fill it out. I've already done mine several times. I've kind of tweaked it over the past couple weeks, but you need to know where you've got to cut, where to find your money. That's in your liability and asset category. Where can you find that money? The government stuff. How to provide certainty to your customers. You need a plan for that. You have to convert those liabilities to assets. What can you sell? What can you get rid of? Priority list. Does it make you money? How to economize your resources. Productive and non-productive activities. How to ensure your customers pay you. These are the focus areas that we just talked about. We just spent an hour talking about this. This is something that, we all as business owners have to deal with, right? So, that's about it. We'll focus on questions and answers in the next webinar. You can also shoot me out an email, docaldrich@gmail.com. The next webinar, we're going to basically get a plan together. What are we going to do to get ourselves out there into the marketplace? How are we going to service customers, new customers, past customers, and current customers? What is our plan for the next 3 years? It might take a couple years for the economy to go back to where it was before. I think the Great Depression in the 30s, I think it lasted 3 years. I'm not a historian, I can't remember, but I thought that's what I read was 3 years. So let's say that this economy takes 3 to 5 years to really get back to the peak. What is the plan? What are you going to try to do? As small business owners, you got to have a plan. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So that's what we'll be talking about next webinar. So I want to thank everybody for coming, and I hope this has given you a lot of things to nibble on, a lot of things to focus your attention on, and to get your plan together so that you thrive when the economy opens back up. So shoot me out an email, docaldrich@gmail.com. If you want to ask a question or make a comment or whatever, I'm here for you. So that's it. We'll see you next week for the part 3 of the Corona Recession Survival webinar series. And have a great day and get busy, okay?